Stop asking Claude to humanize this. Because if your AI generated content sounds robotic, changing a few words isn't going to fix the real problem. I have tested this with something simple. For example, a basic Facebook page post. The first version sounded perfectly fine. It was grammatically correct. It had a hook. It has a short paragraph. It even had that Facebook polished structure. And that's exactly the problem. It sounded like something AI would write for everyone. So instead of teaching Claude to rewrite the bad AI content after it is created, I'm going to show you how to build a filter that changes how you write in the first place. I'm going to teach you how to create a Claude skill, which you can reuse anytime in any use case. And you can use the same system for social posts, blogs, emails, and almost any content that you create using Claude. Let's start with the obvious question. Why doesn't make this human actually solve AI writing? Because humanize is not a writing style. It's an incredibly vague instruction. Claude doesn't know whether you mean more casual, more personal, less formal, more emotional, shorter, bigger, or more conversational. So, what usually happens? It replaces some words, it changes sentence, it adds contractions. Maybe it removes obvious AI words, but the underlying structure stays the same. You still have the predictable hook, the neat 3 point arguments, the perfectly balanced sentences, and the conclusion that sound like it was written for Facebook or rather than by a person. So the solution isn't another rewrite. The solution is to give Claude a better definition of what bad AI can write or how it looks like. Let's actually test it. I gave Claude a very basic Facebook prompt, something like write a Facebook post about how importance of time management. The result was terrible, and that's important. We are not looking for obviously bad AI. We are looking for subtle patterns that make content feels generated. Things like, here is the thing, in the fast today's space world, it's not about X, it's about Y. Overused transitions, generic lessons, artificially dramatic openings, and sentences that are technically good, but don't sound like something a real founder would actually say. That's give us a baseline. Now we need to figure out what patterns we are trying to eliminate. The first step is research. Don't start by writing rules from your imagination. Collect examples of writing that people identified as obviously AI generated. Look at AI detection research, writing discussions, examples from different models, and most importantly, real content from the people we are trying to sound like. Then look for patterns. What words keep appearing? What sentence structure is repeating? What kinds of hooks feels predictable? What transitions show again and again? We are essentially building a list of AI fingerprints. And here's the key. Don't just create a list of words to avoid. Because AI writing isn't recognizable because of five bad words. It's recognizable because of patterns. Now, turn that research into a documented form. I call this the anti AI writing document. This becomes your rule book. For example, you can define things like avoid predictable openings, don't force a lesson into a paragraph, don't use unnecessary transitions, don't make every sentence perfectly polished, avoid generic motivational language, don't manufacture personal stories, don't use artificial contrast because it sounds punchy, and most importantly, don't make the writing sound like it's trying to sound human. Instead, give Claude examples. Show it what you consider natural. Show it what you consider generic. Show it the difference. because examples teach styles much better than a giant list of instructions. Now, here's where you can make the system much stronger. Add references. If you found useful research, writing examples, style guides, or source materials, hook them into the document. Include the actual links. Why? Because now Claude isn't working from a completely isolated set of instructions. It has materials which you can refer to. But don't confuse this with telling Claude, copy this person's writing pattern. That's not the goal. You are giving it reference material so it can understand the principles behind the styles you are trying to achieve. The goal is inspiration and consistency, not imitation. Once your document is complete, convert into a Markdown format, which is MD. Why Markdown? Because it's clean, it's structured, and AI tools can easily process this structure very easily. You can organize the file into sections like writing principles, patterns to avoid, words and phrases to watch, examples, before and after, reference sources. Now you don't have one giant wall of instructions. You have a set of instructions Claude can understand and work with. I'm going to give away today my MD file that you can use in your skills. Here's the link. Now comes the fun part. Run the exact same prompt with Claude twice. First, without a filter, then with your filter document that we created. Don't change the topic. Don't change the prompt. Don't change the desired length. That way, you are actually testing the filter. Compare the two outcomes. Look at the opening. Look at the sentence rhythm. Look at the transition. Look at transitions. Look at whether the post is making generic observations or saying something specific. And here's something very important. Don't judge the result just because it sounds more like human. Ask whether it sounds more like a real person with a point of view. That's a much better test. Once you are happy with the filter, don't keep uploading the same document manually again and again. Turn this into a skill, what Claude can use again and again. You can package the instructions and the supporting material as a reusable file or skill. The idea is simple. Instead of saying, Claude, please remember these 40 set of instructions every single time in each prompt, you create the system once. Then you can activate it whenever you need that particular writing style. This turns a one time experiment into a repeatable workflow, which we can call a skill. Once your skill is available, the workflow becomes very simple. Start your Claude conversation. Call this skill you have just created. Then give Claude the actual assignment. For example, use my anti AI writing skills. Write a Facebook post about the time management. Now, Claude has two things: your content brief and your writing filter. That's much more powerful than simply saying, make this sound human. Because you're not asking Claude to repair the output. You are giving it a system to follow before it even writes. And this is the biggest takeaway. Rewriting happens after the problem already exists. You generate generic content. Then you ask AI to make it less generic. Then you read it. Then you edit it. Then you ask AI to edit it again. You are basically fighting the same problem over and over again. Our usable writing filter changes everything, it changes the workflow. Instead of generate, humanize, edit, rewrite, edit again. You move towards research, define the rules, build the skills, generate through the filter, fine tune your skills. That doesn't magically make everything perfect. You still need human judgment, but the starting point is much stronger. And this isn't limited to Facebook. You can use the same approach for Instagram posts, LinkedIn posts. So your founder content doesn't sound templated. Blogs. So long form content has a consistent voice. Video scripts. So the narration doesn't feel like generic AI copy. Emails. So communication sounds natural instead of overly polished. You can even create different skills for different purposes. Give instructions to your skills, one for your founder voice, one for your company content, one for technical writing, one for sales communication. The important part is that each one has a clear definition of what good means. So the next time you're about to type, Claude, humanize this, stop. Ask yourself, have I actually taught Claude what good writing looks like? Because the problem usually isn't that Claude cannot write like human. The problem is we have given it a vague instructions and expect it to magically understand our definition of human. Build the rule yourself. Add real references. Test them. Turn them into a reusable skill and let the filter work before the content is even generated. That's a much better way to get AI assisted writing that actually sounds like you. And once you build this system once, you can use it across almost everything you publish. Thank you so much.